and it became powder. The ears were very hard, and they could not be broken with the hand. The leaves were brittle, and if you struck them, they would break like glass. The hogs there, too, looking natural enough, but they were as hard as stone." Unquote. George E. Henry of the city, John Rogers, Captain John B. Hull, ex-deputy marshal, and several others rode over to the mountains into Tennessee to see for themselves if the things really were as represented. Captain Hull, ex-United States deputy marshal, makes the following statement, quote, "We went over this morning. I doubted the story on starting, but thought I'd try it anyhow. We found the Warrens' farm about 7 miles or 11 kilometers from the Gap, and there, sure enough, was the cornfield completely petrified. The stalks were somewhat blown down, but they seemed completely turned to stone. The 2 hogs were there also, and they looked like they were carved out of rock. It was the strangest sight I ever saw, and I can't begin to describe the thing. There were a number of men guarding the field with Winchester rifles, and they wouldn't let us go into it. They only let us go to the fence. We could touch some of the corn stalks and could see the hogs, but the men refused positively to let us go any further than the fence. The women wouldn't say why they would not let people go into the field, but I presume they were afraid people would break into the area and break the stalks to pieces. There was quite a crowd there looking at the thing, and everyone was thoroughly dumbfounded with what they saw." Unquote. This statement is vouched for by a number of others, and naturally, there was considerable excitement. So an amazing phenomenon back there in 1890 in Tennessee. I wonder what that could be. It seems like some sort of, small remote detonation of some kind, killing everything instantly but preserving them. Hard to explain. I wonder what that could be. Anyway, I thought you guys would find that interesting. That's the Exopolitical Pulse for the day. There's lots more to talk about. There was a green man sighting in there that I wanted to talk about. We just can't get to it. We're way over our limit. We're going to take a quick break, come back. We're going to get to Michael's story about the cabin entity, and we're going to wrap up another fantastic episode of the Unified Field right here on CKDU. It's episode 8, the Kathleen Marden interview, and I'm your host, Mr. Justin Brown, on CKDU.
Unified Field Radio.
Hideout. If anyone finds out, turn the lights out.
Right on. Welcome back to the UFR. That right there is Islands with Where There's a Will, There's a Whalebone, off of their release, Return to the Sea. So, we're running way past our deadline. Let's get into that letter from Michael that I promised y'all. He is an experiencer that sent me an email at unifiedfieldradio@gmail.com to share his experience with you. And it goes something like this. At the time, I was no older than 8 or 9, at the most, I suppose. My father, my brother, who's 3 years younger than me, and myself were at one of my family's cabins. This cabin is highly isolated, and there was nobody around for many, many miles. It was pretty late, and our dad was letting us stay up fairly late. We were having snacks, and our dad had a couple beers. Behind the cabin a ways, maybe 40 feet. It's hard to estimate, but a short walking distance was the outhouse. Dad said he had to go use the bathroom or the outhouse. We waited a few seconds, and then when we looked out the back window facing the outhouse, we saw who we assumed was Dad standing next to the outhouse. We waved, and he waved back, but at the same time, we heard the front door behind us, and our dad was already inside the porch. We looked back out the window, and there was nobody there. Dad never even went to the outhouse. He said he just went as far as the side of the cabin. He was in the cabin at the same time we thought we were waving to him. The figure had been in the dark, and we didn't see any features. We just assumed it was him. My brother witnessed this along with me. There were no other people for a long distance, many, many miles. There are some other weird tales about that area that my family knows of. Some people say it's a special place, quote unquote. So I think this is quite a weird story. Was it a ghost? I don't know what it was, but it certainly was not imagination or hallucination, as we both saw it at the same time. And I'm pretty sure my dad can't be at two places at once. I should note that it did occur in Atlantic Canada. Regards, Michael. That's from Michael at noninflux@gmail.com. So if you have comments for him, send them there. If you have comments for me, send them to unifiedfieldradio@gmail.com. Thanks very much, Michael. It's great to have you sending your stories into us, and I'm glad and happy to be able to share them on the air, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking to spread information, stories, expand the consciousness, the idea spectrum, and penetrate into alternate realities, and push you guys to the boundaries of existence, and get you to think and turn and click new ideas inside your minds. Because this is the unified field, and it's here that we try and probe these secrets and get us thinking about different ways of existing, like the John Mackian dual existence. Right here on Unified Field, I'm glad that you're here. Thanks for tuning in for another exciting episode. This is episode 8, and keep your eyes to the sky and you may just be surprised. It may expand you into the infinite or shrink you down to size. Thanks for being with me. Hope you tune in 2 weeks for another exciting episode. This is Atlantic Canada's only paranormal radio broadcast. We'll see you all again soon. Good night.
Unified Field Radio.
Hi, my name is Tara, and I am the co-owner of 2F by C Cafe in Dartmouth, and you're listening to Unified Field on CKDU.